Today, we are going over everything you need to know before getting a Cobb AccessPORT for your 22 Subaru WRX.
So we are in one of my R&D cars. It's the 22 Subaru WRX. We have the newly installed AccessPORT that just came out a few days ago. We're currently on the stage 193 map. We're just doing some basic testing on the car, road mannerisms, seeing what all Cobb played with. Obviously, we don't have access to Access Tuner yet. So I'm kind of limited in my throughway of what I can actually see based on data logging through the AccessPORT.
If you've never had a Cobb AccessPORT before, what does it do? Tell us more about it.
All right, so if I've never had a Cobb and I had to explain it, it would probably be a portable handheld device that reflashes the car, but it's also dual purpose, or maybe even tri or quad purpose, in the fact that you can run different gauges. So one of the beauties of ECU tuning rather than, say, a piggyback or something is you have a full scope of, over 100 PIDs, I think, or something like that.
Prior to the AccessPORT becoming available this week, very popular was JB4. What would you say, include the differences between the two if you've seen?
Yeah, so the JB4 does a great job for what it is. It is a standalone that intercepts signals and then modifies those signals and then reports it back to the ECU. So the beauty of the JB4, which I'm not promoting anything illegal towards a dealer, is that if you were to install a JB4, the dealer would know no less, because the ECU is only seeing stock signals, right? Of course. So it's intercepting signals from before the ECU at the sensor itself, modifying it, and then sending a stock signal to the ECU. So in essence, that's how a JB4 works. So the main difference of a Cobb AccessPORT is all these PIDs and the Cobb itself actually downloads the entire contents of the ECU and then modifies the actual ECU contents and then puts them back on the ECU. So the ECU knows no difference.
So, how do you like your new tune and your vehicle?
So the 22 WRX, it's a very good vehicle. It had a lot of shortcomings. Some of the shortcomings mainly being were power. When I got into the vehicle and I floored it out of the parking lot from the dealer parking lot, it was just very underwhelming. I wanted more of everything. So we finally have full tunability on the ECU. Well, me per se, I don't quite yet. Access Tuner will be released in about 30 to 40 days is the last thing I heard. But these cars definitely, with the AccessPORT, we're gonna have full access to drive-by-wire tables, timing maps, full fuel control, drive-by-wire control, so we can get rid of all the pesky rev hang. Okay. These cars are really irky-jerky when you're driving them.
And right now you're on a 93 OTS map, right?
Currently I'm on a 93 OTS map. I cheated a little and put some E30 in the car just to feel the difference.
Of course.
And it does actually make the car a little bit happier.
What about the dam and the knock?
Yeah, so these cars on the OTS maps even do have a little bit of a tendency to drop the dam down, which would freak out a VA owner. But I would advise everybody not to jump the gun just yet. A lot of the knock sensor programming is pretty much stock. So with the addition of a little bit of power and the stock knock sensitivity, these cars do act up a little bit on the OTS map, but even from a stock car to the stage 191 is a massive improvement. So I can only imagine what, once I get my hands on it and I'm able to actually manipulate the maps, what we can see.
It's great to see, and I think that's what was the worry with a lot of people hesitant about buying not only the VB, but also, with Cobb's restrictions now, with the greenhouse stuff and green speed. Excuse me. But they were very hesitant. So now that we get our hands on it, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah, and along with the green speed thing it's the old philosophy, these older down pipes and J pipes, right? Or mainly down pipes if they're older, they weren't nearly as efficient as some of these newer, later next gen down pipes are, even from the factory. So seeing a factory car, even on pump gas, I would imagine this car could make 340, 350 horsepower. On one of the older cars that is kind of unheard of through a factory down pipe or J pipe rather. So I think it's going to be who's going to be able to go fastest on a factory or factory style. Like Jezzy has a really excellent product where it's 49 state legal. California's
the only one.
But But yeah, you know, there's going to be endless possibilities.
Okay.
Tuning is always going to adapt and overcome. You know, it is a big billion-dollar industry, right? So
for sure.
They're going to find a way to keep getting their pockets full.
For sure. You can't really pass that up. I mean, I know we have to go by the law, but I mean, there's tons of money in
there's
tuning and performance parts. So. For sure. So we're going to go over the, some of the features on the AccessPORT. So we're going to go ahead and put it back in your car.
Since it is an actual ECU image that is basically modified and put back on the ECU, there's one caveat to Cobb versus JB4 is the dealer can see the flash count on the ECU.
So that's the main worry about this. Does it void the warranty?
So there's a yes and no. There's no perfect answer to that. So if they can directly say that tune caused an engine failure or that part failure, then technically they could void your warranty. So, but if you go in for something like a suspension problem or a transmission problem, it's pretty simple. I would just take the AccessPORT out of the vehicle.
Yes, and I think that's the confusion.
It alleviates half of it. Obviously, if you go in and the car's been leaning out, or it's tuned by some nefarious tuner who just did what he wasn't supposed to, and you pop cylinder 4, and there's an AccessPORT and it's been flashed, they will deny your warranty. Okay. So it's very important not just picking the proper tuner and the person you trust to tune your own vehicle. Not plugging myself, but I'm just saying, someone that's going to take care of your vehicle like it is their own.
Okay. Well, what are the features that you would say are more popular with those people who do have AccessPORT already, or something you do lots of when you do your tuning?
So the AccessPORT software in particular that I really enjoy is full scope of everything, basically. Top to bottom, anything you can think of is basically modifiable and you can optimize. So for instance, say it's a 21 WRX or non-VB because we don't have access to it yet. So VA WRX 21, just for instance, if I started from an OTS map, from the OTS map to a Pro Tune, a finished product, you're talking in this neighborhood of 150 to 200 changes. We're talking 50 to 80 different map changes and then individual changes. And that's pretty typical for most tuners of the platform. So you kind of work from the top and then you work your way down. So there's like ABCS management, and your cam angle's correct, what jives with the car, your boost levels. A lot of people think a tune is just turning up the boost, and it's unfortunately not. I wish it was that easy. Boost is literally, it takes 5 minutes to maintain, once you've done it a few times. The majority of it is getting the car happy and livable with what power output you're trying to target day to day, every single day, going to the grocery store, going to the drag strip. And that just takes years of experience and unfortunately a lot more PIDs to monitor to figure out where to put that. And so that's where this Cobb really exceeds. Stupid stuff like rev hang and all the other nannies that people absolutely dread about driving this car, which it does. It's very irky and jerky. There's a lot of power sometimes and sometimes there's not. And a lot of that is the drive-by-wire command. And 100% of the drive-by-wire tables, like all 12 drive-by-wire tables, are all completely modifiable. So along with that, we also have one of my favorite features, the troubleshooting feature. You can actually, it's a code reader, obviously, for as much money as you pay it should be. You can read diagnostic codes and it gives you like a quick detail of what exactly that code is and probably how to fix it. You can reset your ECU and also check IM readiness. If you got to go get inspected or anything, it'll tell you which readiness monitors are available. And then the last one, which we'll touch on briefly, is uninstall. So it's actually very important to use the uninstall feature. If you're going to actually sell the AccessPORT or sell the car and you want to completely uninstall and unmarry it, if it is not unmarried, if you literally go into Tune and flash a stock map, it will still be married to the vehicle. So uninstall, so important. And then the all-encompassing Tune file. Under Tune, you can actually go in here and show the current map that's on the vehicle. And like I said earlier, I am on the stage 193 octane mapping. But you can also restore OTS maps or change the ECU map. I won't reflash the car because it takes forever, but I'll show you the process. You go to tune and then change map, and then here it'll show you exactly what OTS maps there are available so far. As you can see, there is literally 4 or 5 of them. There is not very much yet. But there is different octane levels, you know, 91, 93 stage 1, and then stage 0 V100 would be your stock file, basically with an Accessport married to the vehicle. Then you have an economy mode and anti-theft mode. Those are pretty self-explanatory.
So with that being said, I know that a lot of the guys that have had Accessports already, and I know it may not be available due to the software not being launched yet. But what other features, like, does it still have launch control and all that other stuff?
So that brings up a good point. So this Accessport is a full release. I would almost consider this release a beta,
okay,
mainly for the simple fact that there is going to be oddball like ROM ID or CAL IDs that aren't going to be completely defined yet. So if you get into your 22 WRX and you actually go into tune and change map, and when it goes to read the ECU and if it says the ROM ID is unknown, those type of things can happen, and Cobb is at work basically redefining all these different ROM IDs. So these Accessport works basically universally. There is not launch control yet. Normally under tune you would have a little thing called adjustments, where you go in there and maybe reduce ignition timing a degree or two, or put your launch control in flat foot shift. That feature is not defined yet in the ROM. I'm sure it will be soon, but it would probably, if I had to guess, that would come out around the same time ATR did. Okay. So I would imagine they're going to come out with an ATR and an update basically at the same time.
Good. So with the OTS map now, what would you say the power difference would be from stock to 91 and 93?
So from 91 to 93, I would, if the butt dyno says 10 to 15 wheel horsepower.
Okay.
I know James dynoed a 22 today, and from the 91 to 93 file, it did gain about 20 wheel horsepower.
Oh, wow.
His car is more modified than the maps are intended for, so he probably put out a little bit extra. But I would say it's probably in that 8 to 10% range of power.
Well, with that being said, any other information, or if you're interested in purchasing one, please check out the description link below. And as always, like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned for products that are being released soon. I hate you guys so much.